see. So like, for instance, Willie, I'm thinking about, some of these places that have, child development savings accounts, for instance, where my brain goes is, okay, guaranteed income is about income volatility and it's about income inequality. It's not going to fix the wealth gap, right? That's what asset building is for. But what would happen if we had guaranteed income in a place where people had baby bonds or in a place where people had a child development savings account? Now you're talking about short-term gaps and long-term gaps at the same time. So that's really the place where I hope to see the research go next. Ooh, I mean, there's so many things. I should also say, I think I should have mentioned this prior and I didn't, but the idea of unconditional cash has a really long history in the United States. I mean, Thomas Paine wrote about the birth of our democracy. It was part of Dr. King's last book. I mean, I'm not here at this moment because I had a really good idea in 2018, right? Is that like, no, like this momentum that's happening right now? I mean, from the outside, it looks like it kind of came out of nowhere, but in reality, it wouldn't exist without political philosophers, organizers, advocates, thinkers, working on this issue for literally well over 100 years, thinking about this. We're thinking about unconditional cash, but then at the same time, the asset building space within social welfare and social work really laid the policy architecture for our current political moment. I mean, I am flat out convinced, I think it's a number of strands, but I am flat out convinced that we would not be where we are right now with guaranteed income in the United States if Sherrod and company hadn't laid those lines down in the early 90s. We just wouldn't be, right? I almost think of it, in policy research, we call it softening the ground. Is that you ask this question, how do you soften the ground? So we know, like on the one hand, you need consensus in the empirical literature to build out evidence-based policy, but you also need consensus in public discourse, and that requires softening the ground. And so, I mean, to me, I have been this enormous beneficiary, along with all the people who are participating in these experiments, whether they pan out or not, in terms of the hypotheses. That's not the point. We know that poverty by definition is lack of cash. Ergo, we give people cash. They're not as poor anymore. This is not rocket science, right? Like this is not rocket science, right? But when I look at the ways that these things dovetail, there's all kinds of things I could say about hypotheses, but I'm a big fan of understanding context. And I think the reality is the US has been really late to the game on unconditional cash. We have our colleagues all over the world and every type of income brackets, community and country you could think of that have been trying this forever. But really, what we have in the United States is a much longer history on financial capability and asset building. That's really ours. And so, to me, I look at this as the asset building researchers that came, way before, any of this stuff was existing at scale. One, they were laying an evidence-based framework, but two, they were really softening the ground politically so that we could have this moment where, Dr. Elliott's in this position where he's like, hey, look, I've been studying asset building forever. And now I get to study unconditional cash alongside that, right? I mean, that's incredible. And so to me, there's 100 things I could say about hypotheses moving forward. But I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to us having an open hand and being willing to take risks and say, now that I've built up this giant thing, right? I have a whole center labeled guaranteed income, right? My challenge, as a PI is to not hold on to that so tightly that I'm unwilling to say, what's the next way that I need to think about this in light of, who knows what these findings will show this summer when these children, we have data on these children who've been in that experiment for 18 years. Like that's pretty exciting. And that takes discipline and humility to be able to say, I know what I know, but I don't know what I don't know. And I'm really curious about it. So maybe a longer answer than you were looking for. I think it's really important